Okay, so once again, you're mostly welcome. So we are still proceeding with our chemistry series, and now we are in for item 005. Alright, good. Now, please, this item 005 is strictly coming from, alright, is coming from section B part 2. And if you look at section B part 2, is where you find our item 5 and our item 6 in simple terms. Alright, good. So in here, we are going to, please, as far as chemistry is concerned, we have got criteria on how to attempt which item and in which section. Please, now we are in for section B part 2, which has item 5 and 6. Make sure that before this video ends, please, you must watch. There's a video I'm going to put for you in front there. At the end of this video, there's a video which will pop up, which explains how do we attempt item 5 and item 6 questions, and how are they marked. It's good for you to know that, such that you know which areas score most of the marks. It's not just all about the writing, but knowing what are we meant to write about. Okay, so with that, without wasting time, please, we simply remind you to subscribe to the channel. All right, good. I think with that, without wasting time, let's get there. Alright, so please don't forget to share, like, and comment. Please, you take time and hit the like button, and also leave a comment. It can be an appreciation comment or a way forward on how we can improve on this service here. Okay, so please don't forget to like, comment, and also share. Please remember, we carry out this activity simply to help learners and maybe teachers to know or help them with some more skills, because I know not all of us get a chance to receive some of this information. So that's our aim here. All right, good. Okay, then also another disclaimer I would like to put across is that please, most of the questions we discuss here are sometimes sent by students or our subscribers here. So someone may send those questions, and we may have them discussed here. So if there is any question set by anyone, say for example you are on the channel so watching, and then you come across a question which you set somewhere and you are attempting it, please just know it's for the goodness of the our fellow teachers and the students. And please, on this channel we don't charge anyone to watch anything. It is on free of charge. Maybe the data which you use, that can only be the cost you incur. Anyway, without wasting time, I think let's move forward. Okay, good. So section B part 2 is giving us our item 005. Now please, why I specify is because it to enable you know which answering criteria do we use. Of course, section B part 2 is giving us item 005. You should pay much attention on that. And I said at the end of this video, I'm going to put for you how section B part 2 is marked. That's item 5 and 6. How is it marked? There will be a video which will pop up after the end of this video. So make sure you watch up to the end so that you can see that video which will pop up. You watch it, and then you understand deeper on how we go about the chemistry. It is just simple and simple and simple, right? And I guess if you're a learner in senior 4, my humble prayer is that you may be score an A in chemistry, because it is not all that hard. Without wasting time, let's start off. So they're saying the people of Kigaragara village in Isingiro district can easily cross into Tanzania for charcoal business. Due to increase in population of this district, many natural forests, I've underlined the word natural forests, have been cleared to provide charcoal for use as fuel, and the natural swamps have been reclaimed to create space for settlement. Oh, that's really bad. Anyway, these happenings have left the district officials wondering. As a result, the government, through the district officials, is planning to create awareness to the people in Isingiro district through sensitization workshops organized in different villages. Now please, what you must know here is that any workshop carried out is for the goodness of the community. So a workshop comes with the problems associated with the activity being carried out and how better can we solve it. In fact, the problems, how do they affect the people and how can we solve it? That's what we deal with in section B part. Alright, part 2, task. Okay, as a chemistry learner, prepare a short presentation that you will deliver during the workshop when invited. Okay, good. Now, what you must know here is that, please, what you must know is that here they talk about natural resources. The word natural is there. See, natural forests, natural forests, you see, natural swamps, like that. And all these, when you look at them, they are resources. They are resources. So, what does it mean? It means that we must know what are we meant to do as far as item section B part 2 is concerned. I told you section B part 2 contains item 5 and item 6. Okay, now, in the first place, before attempting any item 5 and 6 question, that's section B part 2, we first of all begin by giving a category. We begin by giving a category. Okay, after giving that category, we must give with the reason. Why are we saying that it is that category we are giving? We must also give a reason. Then also, where need be, we must also give an example. Allow me write EG to mean example, like that. After giving an example, we must now talk about the composition. We must now talk about the composition, like that. So that's the first thing we are meant to deal with. Now, after giving the category, like in this first area here, okay, after giving this, after giving the category, the reason, and the example, and maybe the composition, okay, good. What next I meant to do? As far as item 5 and 6 is concerned, that's section B part 2. Now, here, you are meant to also come forward and also identify of the categories I've given. Come and identify the category. Identify. Like, say for example, okay, identify the category. Okay, identify the category. Come and identify the category here. Then also next, you must also give us the components of that stuff you have identified. That's what we mean here in the first part. That's what you meant to first of all do. Now, what does it mean? It means that I want us to understand this before we can go into the answers. Please, here it's not all about seeing the answers, but what I meant to do. Now realize that you must give a category and reason plus an example. Then from that you must come and identify. Now in the identification here, you must pick out one example, part of the category. Say for example, maybe we can talk about natural resources and the artificial resources. And maybe the natural resources, you have the example. So if you decide here to identify a category, means that in the question you choose one part which you are going to deal with. If you're dealing with natural resources, you say, okay, I'm going to deal with natural resources, and what must you do? You must talk about that. Okay, identify that category. If you're talking about natural resources, pick an example in the natural resources. Maybe for example, in natural resources you can think about what? Think about air. If it is air, then air is a natural resource. If it is air, then you must come forward and tell us what are the components of air, like that. Then after that, in fact, let's first of all begin with, first of all we get that, then I'll come and explain the other part. Now, please, I told you that all what I'm explaining here is in that video which I'm going to put at the end of this video here. So at the end of this video, there's a video which will pop up there. You tap in it and you'll understand more on this with live questions and how the marking is done. Alright, good. So I think without wasting time, let's go and see the way forward. Okay, so here we are. So you say that we begin by giving a category. So category of the natural resources, they are now you say they are classified as renewable natural resources. We have that. Let's get everything in place. Let's get everything in place. Let's get everything in place. Okay. So now we realize that what I've explained the other side is here in simple terms. It is here. Look, we said. Now the category, come and categorize the natural resources. There are in two. Okay, come and categorize the natural resources. They are in two. We have the renewable resources. Renewable resources. That's now the category. Now you must explain it also. Now the explanation is renewable natural resources. The explanation is that can be replaced. Is an explanation there. Then also an example is air, then trees. Well, we know there are very many, but you just hint out on the ones you are able to mention, like around some 2 or 3 better. So now that is renewable resource, that is a category. Can be replenished, that's an explanation. Then example is air and trees. Please, I've clarified on that over here. I said the category plus reason plus the example. Now we have a category that is renewable natural resources. Reason can be replenished. Example, air and trees, like that. Okay, that's what I'm trying to mean here in simple terms. That's what I'm trying to mean in simple terms. Please, maybe for more clarifications here, I know someone may be questioning. Please, the word replenished means can be restored. Can be restored. Like say for example, can be restored. Of course, you know that there is no way. Fine, we can cut down the trees, but we can again plant them. So a tree may go, but again we will plant another one. So it can be replenished, can be replaced, or it can be restored. That's the meaning of that, replenished. Okay. Now next, about the category, we have also the non-renewable resources. Okay, that's now a category. Now the reason is that cannot be replenished, meaning that with these ones here, once they use them, they cannot come back. Example, fossil fuels. Okay, fossil fuels. Say for example, petrol in your car. Petrol in the car is part of the fossil fuels. Once you use it, it cannot come back. So mean that these ones here can be exhausted. Okay. Alright, good. So with that, now that's the part we have here. Please, I said our aim here is not just having the answers, but knowing how to answer. Now, category, we have finished. Category was renewable resources. The reason was cannot be replenished, e.g. air and trees. Now, the non-renewable also, we said category was non-renewable. Reason was cannot be replenished. The example was fossil fuels. Then next, you must come to these two, like the way are here. Choose. I am going to deal with renewable natural resources in your write-up. Of course, you realize that in the question, if you look at the question here, sorry. If you look at the question, they're just talking about natural forests, natural swamps. Where do you think the forests are? Forests contain trees. Are you saying that? So if forests contain trees, it means that for you, what you're going to deal with here in the next part, if you call it forests containing trees, it means that in your write-up, you're going to deal with simply these ones here, which are in the renewable resources. In your write-up, you don't write about the two. Okay, so now we're going to write about that. So you choose between air and trees. Shall talk about that, but at first let's say now here a composition air. Now here we must talk about the composition of natural resource on the environment. So okay, so what we're going to do here is that the composition of natural resource on the environment. So if you pick non-renewable, specifically we may deal with air. We must talk about the composition of what air is. Of course, that there's no way you can talk about composition of trees. It's very hard, but air has the compositions in it. So you talk about that. Okay, I say? Now here we are just trying to guide you that you only select one from the above examples stated is when you talk about the composition, the components. So you have chosen air. Of course, trees do not have much science as far as composition is concerned. So air contains, we talk about compositions of air. Air contains nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, carbon dioxide gas, rare gases, and water vapor. That is in the very first part, which I've explained here. Identify the category and the composition. Category, we have picked the categories, the renewable resources, the components in there, components of air. We have finished that part. Now, having done that, still about this question here, realize of this. Okay. Still about this question here, realize that, realize of this. Okay, good. Now, what does it mean? We now have to give a comment, on what we call, what are we meant to do next. In fact, as far as item 3 and item 5 and 6 is concerned, what I'm meant to do next. Now realize that after giving it a category, next, don't you think this activity being carried out, because I've categorized the things which are going to be affected, renewable resources, air and trees. Once they cut down trees, the amount of air in the atmosphere reduces. You all know that. So you must now tell us next, in the next part, the next paragraph, don't you think there are some dangers, or don't you think there are some side effects? Some side effects about this. Now we are on how do we make a write-up about item 5 and item 6, that's section B part 2. Don't you think there are some dangers or side effects? Okay, if there's a side effect, then identify that side effect. Identify that side effect. After identifying a side effect, then also come forward and tell us, okay, explain it. Come and explain that side effect. And of course, in chemistry, our aim here is to provide solutions or make the world a better place. So therefore, if you have gotten the side effect and someone has explained it, please, can't you tell us a way how we can mitigate it, or how can we solve that problem? That's what we're going to deal with in this next part. After talking about the category, come and talk about the side effects. Please, all what I'm trying to explain here is detailed in the video which I'm going to post at the end of this. And I think let's go there and see how this is done. Right, good. Then maybe I just want to summarize this at once after, because I want us to, okay, not to make this video to be a bit longer. Allow me to put this in the green. Okay, so we have that. Still about this question now, to finish up or to end the whole story here, we say, now in the next part, don't you think after, now you have told us the dangers and side effects, you have identified, explained and mitigated, don't you think there are some benefits, social benefits, by the way, social benefits? Okay, now in the social benefits here, you must identify the benefit and also explain the benefit. Any topic you talk about in item 5 and 6, that section B part 2, you must work on this ground here in order to come up with some good scores in any paper. Okay, so long as it's paper 1. Alright, good. Now after that, so let's go and see in the next part. Now we are going to see, so impacts or side effects of the human activities. We must talk about the impacts. In your write-up, you must tell them, don't you think there are some dangers associated with the things they do? Now, in the bracket, we're trying to clarify for you that you must give only one explained point with its mitigation is required. So here, one may want to write a lot, but we say you must give 1 or 2, depending on the time. You can give 1 point and explain it, meaning here, like we had this over here, meaning here about this, meaning that in this area, dangers and side effects, you can give 1 danger, explain it and mitigate it, depending. However, even if we give 2, no harm. So let's go there. So now we are saying that, remember, we were dealing with air is the major topic we picked out here. Okay, now we're saying among the impacts on human activities, or impacts of the human activities on the life and natural resources. Okay, now here about air, let's talk about in the line of air. Of course, remember, once we cut down trees, so we said when the carbon dioxide levels in air increase, now why do they increase? Remember, you have cut down the trees, of which trees absorb carbon dioxide, which they use for photosynthesis. If the trees are not there, it means that the people who are consuming the carbon dioxide, the amount of carbon dioxide consumed will be very little, so it will be much accumulation of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. What will it bring about? It will bring about what we call a greenhouse gas. It traps the heat in the atmosphere, leading to global warming. Alright, now maybe to explain what a greenhouse is, anyway. So okay, the simplest way to get this explained is that about a greenhouse, what you should know is that, assuming this is our earth like this, and now that's the earth, and now this is our trees. So if they cut down the trees, you realize that the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will accumulate. Shall have much of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere Okay, like that. Now, once this carbon dioxide as a saturated in the atmosphere, nowadays we call it a greenhouse gas, a greenhouse gas. These ones come from plants on Earth. Now, once carbon dioxide accumulates in the atmosphere, this carbon dioxide here, okay, what it does, it traps heat. It traps heat. Okay, it traps heat. Like, say for example, the heat would want to move from down to go back up. Now, since we have much of the carbon dioxide in the air, it will trap heat. And what will happen is that there will be an increase in temperature, and that's why we're experiencing sometimes hot nights. You have ever, I think, seen that when you find that it's night time, but it's also very, very hot, and sometimes people even leave their windows open at night when the heat is too much. That comes as a result of the accumulation of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which trap heat and don't allow it to, okay, be lost into the atmosphere. So what happens is that the heat comes back on Earth, and that one gives us what we call global warming in simple terms. So we said we only explain one. However, if you have another one, you can as well bring it forward. So now let's see. We said, well, now here the problem is that carbon dioxide levels bring about what? Bring about in the atmosphere leading to global warming. Okay, now that's the problem, and I've explained the problem. Now, is there any way we can solve that? Mitigation. This is what you have meant, mitigation. But when you're writing, please don't write like this, that mitigation, then, okay, a semicolon, then you proceed. No, you just bring it as a paragraph. They say, you can just say, this can be mitigated by, okay, this can be mitigated by increasing or practicing afforestation. I guess you understand that. So, mitigation is that increase the afforestation to replace the cut trees. Okay, to replace the cut trees, which absorb, please, this M is not there, which absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to reduce on global warming. And I was thinking that here we have a mitigation. We have the problem also explained. I told you we're based on this. We give a side effect. We identify dangers and side effects. We identify the side effect, that is global warming. Explain it, finished. Mitigation by afforestation or planting more trees. Now, if you have talked about that danger, you must come forward and tell us, are there some social benefits anyway? However much things are not all that good, but is there any social benefit? Tell the people, is there any social benefit of afforestation? Is there any social benefit of not cutting down trees? Of course, just know they know the importance of cutting down trees, but can you give them another way how they benefit out of this? Because with them, they see the trees as useless. They only find it useful if it is cut down and used as firewood or charcoal. Okay, benefits of natural resources. Here also you must give one and explain it. Alright. Still we're about air. So we know that air contains carbon dioxide. What does carbon dioxide do? You explain, that's the benefit. Let's explain. That facilitates photosynthesis. And of course you know that it's through photosynthesis that the plants can make their own food. In the so doing, they can go through the flowering stage and bear fruits for us. Okay, contains carbon dioxide that facilitates photosynthesis in green plants. The air. Now talk about the benefits of air. The side effects which can affect air due to the human activities. We are finished. Now talk about this. So next, during photosynthesis, we are explaining now. During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide from the air combines with water in the presence of sunlight trapped by chlorophyll to form glucose, oxygen, and energy. That's what we simply do. But please, in this area, you can give 2, even here, I can give 2, depending. But are you seeing how detailed your point must be? Are you seeing how detailed? We gave the benefit. Carbon dioxide helps in photosynthesis, but is there a way you can explain it? Yes. During photosynthesis, this is now the explanation. Carbon dioxide from the air combines with the water in the presence of sunlight, trapped by chlorophyll to form glucose, oxygen, and energy. Please remember, you are all given this in your notes, so make sure you always be informed on most of the topics. Right, good. So with that, this brings us to an end of this video. Now we are saying, please, there is a video which is going to pop up to give you more examples about this item 5 and 6 and how it is marked and how are we meant to write our answers. Right, I wish you well.